So financing, or we call like forecasting, this is a critical topic. Often when you start a business or a startup, you don't have a finance manager, right? You don't have maybe even good financial understanding. But sometimes you even need to raise investment already. So how do you go about building a solid financial forecast or a really basic financial model to understand? And this is the question you need to be able to answer is your business financially viable? This is the key question. Because if the answer is no, you don't have a business. The business has to be financially viable. So how do we go about doing that? There are a few key components to the forecast. The first is sales. How do you forecast sales? If you go back to my first question about the consumer, is who are the consumer? How many of them are there? How do we reach them? So that is the building block of the sales forecast, right? For example, we sell in the United States and we sell our organic products at Whole Foods. There are 520 Whole Foods stores in the United States. We can make some assumption how many units are we going to sell per store per week. Then we build a forecast based on the number of stores over a 1 year period. If you were to sell directly to consumer, like for example on Amazon, you will then make some assumption that let's say 500 people buy your product every month. So you have a very clear sales like forecast logic, which is based on the real consumer, right? The turnover per week, velocity, the price in which they pay, and the channel in which you sell to them. So you put all of this together, and that's the first component of the forecast, which is the sales. The second is your margin. So when we say margin, we're referring to gross margin, profit margin, which is your cost of goods sold. So typically, for example, in a food business, you would want to have a minimum of 35% margin. So if your margin in this case is like 20%, you can say that, oh, maybe your business is not financially viable. Maybe your cost is too high. Maybe your raw material is too high. So first you must have a reasonable gross margin, and that is industry specific. So if you're selling a vitamin, right, your margin might be like 75, 80%. If you're selling food, your margin might be 25 to 35%. So you have to understand the industry margin, and you should be at least above the standard. And the other component is you have to understand all the other costs that is involved in executing your business. For example, I go back to our business, we sell organic food. So what, apart from the cost of goods sold, what are the other main costs? We have trade marketing, which means we have to run promotion in retail store, because when people go into the store, they don't know our brand, they don't know our product. So we put it on a discount so that they try the product, because you want to drive trial for new consumer. You run demos so people are going to in store to eat the product. And this all costs money, and we call this trade marketing. And typically, we want to spend 15%, 20% of our revenue on this in the first year, for example. That's the industry standard in the US. Then you have consumer marketing, which is your social media to raise awareness for your brand. Then you say, okay, how many percent do you allocate for that? So after you have your sales forecast, you have your gross profit margin, your cost of goods sold, then you put in the major costs, right? How many percent of your revenue, and at the end, do you have any profit left? And you have to understand that maybe for the first year or two, you're investing in your brand, into raising awareness, and you will lose money. But year 3, year 4, year 5, you turn a profit. Your sales goes up. So the forecast has to tell a story of growth, right? Growth not just from a sales standpoint, but also your bottom line. And then you have to think about the hidden cost of your business. Are there any hidden logistic costs, regulatory costs, legal costs? You have to factor in as much as possible so that you don't have too many financial surprises. And then you're able to survive long enough that whether you get an investor or you make your company profitable, you will understand how much money you need to invest in this business. And I would do this exercise pretty early on to answer the question that I asked at the beginning: is your business financially viable? And if it is, how many years will it take you to be financially viable? Is it will take you 3 years or 7 years, right? Because your money will run out. So this is a really critical question to ask.